mantra. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We're following the fellow who's in this illustration on the screen, raising our arms, calling Krishna's name as an offering to Krishna himself. The Vachaka form. There's the Vapu and there's the Vachaka. And they're non-different. Bhaktisiddhanta has a very nice teaching, amongst many very nice teachings. We'll hear about it tomorrow morning. Please come tomorrow morning so you can hear about Bhaktisiddhanta's teaching about the non-difference between Krishna and his name and how to experience that. Because it's a nice philosophy. Is it true? It's true. How do you verify that it's true? By experiencing it. Can it be experienced? Yes. There's a process. And he's going to teach us tomorrow morning the process. We're going to share it. He's the teacher. I see a few faces, a few persons that are here today that weren't with us this morning or yesterday evening. So I'm going to do a mini review of yesterday, this morning, and it all leads up to why. The theme was Friday evening, and that was like 2 hours long. 3 topics taken from Rupa Goswami's Upadesh Amrita, and how those 3 topics apply to what we're doing. Chanting of the holy name and striving to immerse ourselves wholly and solely and exclusively in the holy name. A sadhana, a practice to reach the perfectional stage. So those 3 points: enthusiasm, utsaha, and patience, and determination. Enthusiasm, patience, and determination. We heard, I'll repeat it, a nice definition of enthusiasm. Endeavor with intelligence in Krishna consciousness is enthusiasm. Pretty simple. I mean, simple definition, then to do is, like, that's what enthusiasm is. Endeavoring with enthusiasm, and guided by intelligence. And then what's intelligence? And so we discussed all those nice things. And patience, because it doesn't happen quickly. The fruit doesn't come quickly. It comes, but you have to be patient and perseverance. And then that's the perseverance, the dhairyat, as in dhira, same Sanskrit root, with determination. And put those 3 together and apply those 3 in practice, then the stage of perfection can come. These are essential elements, not optional. They're essential elements for progress in anything. Certainly progress in yoga, certainly progress in bhakti, certainly progress in chanting, without offense. And then this morning, we had another topic that's chanting from the heart. Offering Krishna his name, because that's what we're doing, the sound, but offering Krishna himself in the form of his name from the heart. And what does that mean? And we discussed that, with some detail. And what does that lead to? And what does that lead to? What does that lead to? Lead to purification. And in that stage of purity, then there's a power that goes with that explicitly and subliminally, internally and externally it comes, like our founder Acharya. There's some nice examples of Srila Prabhupada walking in an airport or a place where people don't know him at all. And as he walked into that place, people noticed because there's an aura or a presence in Srila Prabhupada's being in their midst. And some person stood with palms folded. They didn't know who he was from any other fellow in that assembly, a waiting lounge or something like that. But he carried a Shakti with him, which is something that we ended with this morning. By receiving, we're carrying something that then can impact others, whether we know it or not. And if we know it, and the intention in our interactions with others is to somehow benefit them, then that's what happens. But first comes receive and then the giving. Then we spent some time in our questions and answer session, like 2 of the questions, extensive discussion on certain topics. And we ended up with what's on the screen here. The why question. Why are we here? What's the purpose of human life? Is there a purpose? Probably. Then so asking questions is good. Brahma Jigyasa is good. Human form of life is meant for asking such questions. And when asked such questions, then the biblical saying is seek and you shall find. The opposite is don't seek and it can hit you in the head and you won't recognize it. Because you weren't looking for it. You're looking for a piece of broken glass and here comes a diamond. You don't recognize it. So the why question and giving credit where credit is due. This is a fellow. We saw his image before. This is Simon Sinek. He's not a Bhakta Simon. He's just, a motivational speaker. And he has put a lot of thought into this topic of why is at the center. And because many people want to know how without first asking the why and getting some clarity in the why area. Yeah. One of the very wonderful teachers of Japa is Sachinandan Swami, and he calls it the wheelbarrow. You probably all know what a wheelbarrow is. It's like, it has 2 sticks that stick out, and then 1 wheel in the front and a couple of wheels, so it has like a tripod thing. You put tools in the wheelbarrow and you go zoom, zoom to your gardening work. So he says, he describes there are tools that go into the wheelbarrow of improving your chanting. My message is, without understanding the why, the tools can help for a while. We have experience. I'll give an example. There's a discipline. One of the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Vikreshwara Pandit in Jagannath Puri. And, he was celebrated for his dancing. He could dance for hours and hours and hours in ecstatic dancing and not become tired. Vikreshwara Pandit, wonderful dancer. And he had a disciple, Dhyana Chandra Goswami. Dhyana Chandra Goswami wrote a book about chanting. He not only wrote a book about chanting, he displayed it. And one of the things that he did, this is a tool that can go in your wheelbarrow. It was called Trataka. And he carved in stone in a place where he would sit and do his chanting, and his eyes would follow the mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. And then each mantra, his eyes would follow. It's a discipline. It's a tool. Trataka. And you can do that. Sit in front of a Mahamantra board or picture or image or something. And it helps to fix the mind. Visual connected with the audio, with the ear and the mouth. 3 senses. Hooray, it helps. And as a tool that can go in the... But if the why isn't clear, what happens is, in the course of time, for not him, Dhyana Chandra Goswami, but for the rest of us, a tool can fade. And then disappear, and I need another tool, please, for my wheelbarrow. So, but it's not just tools in the wheelbarrow. They're certainly helpful. We can, give a whole list of some other nice things that are tools that can be very helpful. But it's the why that's behind it. Like Tulsi Devi, Brinda Devi. There are certain entities, certain personalities that are the givers of bhakti, just like Haridas Thakur chanted in front of a Tulsi plant. When he left the prostitute there, she gave her the Tulsi plant. And she followed his example. So, because they're givers of bhakti, like Brinda Devi or Tulsi Devi. So there are things that are very, very helpful. You can say but or and. If the why isn't clear, the effectiveness is less, and there's every chance it can fade over time, or at least the sine curve. And then, how long can you do that? Lifetimes you can do it. Who knows? Does anybody know how many lifetimes you've been at it? Who can say? Probably not just this lifetime. Probably something back there. And is this it? Or it's nice to close the gap. It's good to practice, but it's also to have a where's this going? That's the what. And then there's the how, and then there's at the center, there's the why. Here's a different graphic that says the same thing. So the advocacy, where this particular topic is going is, I mentioned the very first day, and I hope you came prepared with a sheet of paper or your phone or something you can literally write down your sankalpa. We're going to go there towards the end. So here's a nice graphic. I like graphics. That fellow with his back to us, that's us. And then he's looking out at, on the one side is life or birth, The other side is death, and there's space in between. And that's what we're going to do with our this one lifetime. And what goes in that space? It's Vedanta. What's the purpose? So the declaration of Vedanta is at least ask the question, inquire into, jigyasu, be inquisitive into the nature of Brahman, the absolute truth. And what's that? Well, there's what it is, and then there's the way to get there. And so the way to get there is the inquisitiveness. And so this is an inquisitiveness. Why bhakti? And if one gets a little thoughtful, it's easy. You can take a Bhagavad Gita course, and at the end of your Bhagavad Gita course, maybe there's a question out of the 25 questions. Why bhakti? Which box are you going to check? Get multiple choice or fill in the blank and get an A in your exam and Haribol. You got your Bhakti Shastri certificate. That's something external. And then what's the internal? What's the answer? So here's one way of looking at the answer. There's stages of bhakti, and we all know the verse. This is Rupa Goswami's definition from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of the starting point is Shraddha, and the ending point is Prema. So what moves us in the Shraddha stage to go to the goal? Is there something? What is that something? What is it that about Prema that attracts us? Well, it's Krishna. And who is Krishna? According to the Upanishads, this is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's the absolute truth. Saha, it's the pronoun. Saha is by certainly rasa. The absolute truth is rasa. So we want rasa. We want a relationship because rasa is an exchange. Rasa is a taste or flavor or juice or mellow. Different English words are perhaps translations of the word rasa. But it's a relationship. And in the relationship, there's the object and there's the subject. Just like in grammar, there's a verb too. Subject, and there's some adjectives and adverbs, but subject, object, and verb. And the verb is bhakti. And then the subject is us, and the object is Krishna, and Krishna is rasa. So what we're interested in achieving prema is a mature stage of that relationship of bhakti rasa. It's just a whole nice topic. It's a very wonderful topic. What is bhakti rasa? But that's what we want. We want an experience, a subjective. I'm going to spin out a little bit over here. I'll come back. I won't go too far. There's a lot of buzz currently about artificial intelligence, AI. Everybody knows. It's sending the stock market upside down because it does a lot and it's popular and da 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 da. The idea of some people is we won't need people anymore because they're going to be AI things that replace people, robots. I was sharing this the other day at UT Austin. It's one of the places I visit. I saw something that I hadn't seen before. I'm sure I'm going to see it more often. You're walking along the sidewalk to get to the place where the program was, the student union. And I saw this little white box that had two little, it was the eyes, the sensors that like they could see where they're going. But inside was hot pizza. And then somebody called up the pizza shop, and the pizza shop put the hot pizza in this little box. Programmed the thing to send so that up and down and up and down and up and down. There's these little white boxes that go beep 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 beep, and they stop when there's somebody in the way because they have sensors. And then when people get out of the way, then they continue beep beep and go down off. Then there's your hot pizza with some soda inside or whatever else they ordered along with it. So you don't need deliverers, pizza deliverers anymore. You just need one of those little things. And it's going to replace people. You don't need people anymore. But, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, without the guy that put the information in, the guy that made it, without the conscious self, machines they can replicate behaviors. Yes. Can they experience? No. Spirit moves matter, not, you don't need spirit. You don't need people. You don't need entities. You just need right combinations of matter. AI, replicating emotion and behaviors and all stuff. No rasa. Guess where that train is headed? Very sophisticated atheism. Popular, lucrative, woo woo woo. You can fight better wars. Just send a drone up in space and drop bombs and figure out different ways of using artificial intelligence and remotely blow up the place. Anyway, there's not just there's certainly some sarcasm, but that's where that train is going. Minus the spiritual conception, with no rasa. It's like New Age Buddhism, nothingness. That's where that train is going. So back to our topic. I said it was a detour. What is it about bhakti that attracts us? It's rasa, bhakti rasa. It's Krishna is the reservoir of all rasa. That's one of the meanings, reservoir of happiness, and all attractive reservoir of happiness. We're attracted to the all attractive, and it's the exchange of rasa. And the advancement to the prema stages, and you keep going. Once you reach the prema stage, how high can you go? Keeps going. It's not just end with Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. You read Ujjwala Nilamani, and it's like, wow. And that's what's awaiting us. And we may not understand it because we're here. And we think it's here, but it's not here. It's there. In consciousness-wise. Now, one of the things that during the course of this visit I've been doing is, including, the first two classes, is to define something. It's helpful to define something, to define what it is not. I gave some examples. I won't repeat those examples. A good definition is both inclusive and exclusive. I can say what something is, but somebody may hear that something that it is and have the wrong idea. So it's good to say what is not also. And one of the phrases that Jiva Goswami uses, at least the translation of his language, is slackening because this is the sine curve. So what causes that diminishing when you're going up, and it doesn't always just keep going up? Or an English translation of a phrase that Bhakti Vinod Thakur used a lot, was slackening in submission in relation to the Sharanagati topic. Sharanagati, surrender to Krishna. Mamekam Sharanam, that celebrated most important verse of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Mamekam Sharanam. So what is that Sharanam? And so if there's what it is, and then there's what it isn't, like any good definition. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in describing many songs, so many songs about each one of the 6 limbs of Sharanagati, he then indicates the detriment, or that which erodes, or that which causes the slackening of bhakti. And it's an important topic, so we're going to spend some time, because Jiva Goswami does. And there's the why question, the why bhakti and why slackening of bhakti. So what is bhakti and what is the slackening of bhakti? And this why is both sides, the plus and the minus. So we want to avoid the minus. We want more of the plus, please. So as we're here, we should be aware of what, tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have this many people here tomorrow. Maybe not, but hopefully we'll have this many, maybe more. And so tomorrow means our 64-round day. And I'll say a few things now about tomorrow, say things at the very end about tomorrow. 3 things for tomorrow. Start early. There's a really practical way to start early. Take rest early. Get up early. Start early. And when you start early tomorrow morning, utsaha. It's like, when it's Ekadasi. Haribo, Ekadasi. Not just no beans and grains, but, less of that and more of this. And on an auspicious day. Haribo. Enthusiasm. Greet the Ekadasis with that enthusiasm. And greet tomorrow's beginning of your japa with, Krishna is so kind. He's giving us an opportunity to be with many, many, many other devotees who are focused, or striving at least to be focused in taking shelter of Krishna and offering Krishna his holy name and doing it together. Enthusiasm. That's a good way to start. Early with enthusiasm. That's point number 1. Get sufficient rest, because it's a long stretch. So you got a mountain to climb. You have to have rest, but start early. I'll ask you a question at 7:30 tomorrow morning, or after we begin our morning class. How many have already chanted 16 rounds? And you'll see over half the room, the hands go up. No, it's tomorrow. You're ahead of yourself. So good. And we did this in Houston last 2 weekends ago. Maybe 15, 20 people had already chanted 32 rounds by 7:30. So get a good start. That's 1. With enthusiasm. Second, we learned this, just so I say it ahead of time. We learned this, when we had a little session of what your experience was. Well, everything was great up until breakfast, and then I ate too much. And then it was really groggy, and, it wasn't the same. And so that's a caution. Don't eat too much. Eat sufficient, but modest. And the third is Mona Vrata. We already mentioned, but I'm repeating it, and we'll say it again at the end. We'll say it again tomorrow morning. Mona Vrata. Mona Vrata means, other than if you have a small child that needs something and you have to interact with your small child that needs something, you can use hand language and stuff like that, sign language. But, you know, it'll help you stay focused. But, control the tongue, you can control the other senses, right? That's Rupa Goswami's teaching. Mona Vrata tomorrow. Those are three things for tomorrow. So now we're going to go through this slackening of bhakti and why. Compliments of Jiva Goswami. Now, he writes about this in Bhakti Sandarbha because he's writing about bhakti, so he's also going to write about what's the negative, what brings it down, what. So you watch out for the curves in the road. And this, he indicates, keeping it simple, there's the past and there's the present. The past, when there's sinful activity, good news. Bhakti is so powerful that even abhas bhakti can dismiss prarabdha karma. What does that mean? Prarabdha karma means misfortune or suffering that comes presently at this moment. And abhas bhakti has the power to eliminate that. But abhas bhakti doesn't have the power to eliminate prior tendency. If you clip a weed at the top and there's still the root of the weed in the soil, wait a while. The weed's going to grow again. So part of weeding is you have to pull the root. And abhas bhakti doesn't pull the root. It's good. But and abhas chanting, that's what we do largely. Abhas, namabhas is the shadow of the holy name, and it's powerful. But it doesn't take away the tendency. Wait a while, and tendency comes out again. And so, therefore, what are those tendencies? There's two primary categories and subcategories: sin and offense. And reaction to sin are quickly dismissed by bhakti. But the residual part, like tendencies to again do sin may still linger. And what to speak of? Why do they linger? This is the topic in Bhakti Sandarbha. Due to offense. And then we have our list of offenses, and we want to come to the stage of offenseless chanting. Supposing you're not there yet. Supposing you're not Shuddha Bhakti yet. That's probably most of us. Supposing. Then there's going to be some in this life, and certainly in previous, some offense. And then there's consequences of that offense, and he says, Jiva Goswami writes in Bhakti Sandarbha, there's a long list. But of the long list, there are 5 most prominent, so we're following him, we're going to follow or discuss the 5 most prominent. And the first is crooked. Dishonest. A classic example that he gives is Duryodhana. He was crooked. So when Krishna came, the example, classic, Krishna came to offer a peace settlement, no war between the cousin brothers. I'm a cousin too, but I'm not going to take part in the war. I've taken a vow I won't take part in the war. But the Pandavas and the Kauravas mean basically Duryodhana and those supporting Duryodhana and the Pandavas, and then the people that are supporting the virtue of the Pandavas. And Krishna supports the virtue of the Pandavas. because they're virtuous and they're devotees. And Duryodhana is, not. He's the opposite. So the story in Mahabharata is he, the crooked Duryodhana, when Krishna came to visit, he made it. There are different visits, and he did different things at different times. Krishna made a visit, and he made a grand reception. Da 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 da. And then he, special seat for Krishna. Da 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 da. And he was inviting Krishna to take meal with him. And Krishna said, you know what Krishna said? Two things. One, a person may eat if they're hungry. I'm not hungry. Second, even if you're not hungry, you may eat something if there's love. There's no love. Your animosity towards the Pandavas and Arjuna in particular, Arjuna and Bhima in particular, there's no love because they're connected to me. You're despising them means you're despising me. There's no love I'm not going to have. I'm going to go where there's love. So he went to another place, the other place where there was love. And there's a whole story connected with all of that. And there was, it was a loving exchange because he was eating banana peels because of love and loving it. Not because banana peels are lovely, but the way in which the thing was offered. Exactly what we heard Prabhupada say in the morning session, that little recording. Priti Purvakam, offer with love. And offer our chanting in that way from the heart similarly. So, two nice scriptural references he gives. This was mentioned this morning. Those of you that didn't catch it, Nandimukhi shared what's on the screen right now. There's a Vishnu Dharma reference where it says, this is in Bhakti Sandarbha, he makes reference, truth is destroyed by 100 obstacles, penance by 1,000. Human beings' devotion to Lord Govinda is destroyed by 10,000 obstacles if one is insincere. Not only destroyed, but it doesn't happen at all. And here's Parashara Muni making some similar statement in Skanda Purana. In this world, impious, foolish, and crooked people, the Sanskrit word is Kautilya, crooked people do not attain devotion to Lord Govinda, and they cannot chant or remember the Lord. Cannot. And a comment that he makes, Jiva Goswami, in this very first of 5, is this crookedness is rooted in pride. And there's something about pride. Me, centeredness, false ego. Me. And so crooked, Duryodhana giving to someone else, it's not Duryodhana. If he makes a pretense of it, it's crookedness. And so similarly, people make attempts to make a show. I mean, we've all heard, and it's also true. One, if the commandments of the Old Testament, Prabhupada would say Christ said, but it's the Old Testament said, thou shalt not kill. And then how much killing is there of innocent praja for our tongue? It's everywhere. If you have to be numb, or you become numb because it's everywhere. Everywhere. And churches may proliferate. You know this. Prabhupada meeting with the in France, one of the whatever they are, bishops or archbishops or something. And where does it say in the Bible that it's okay to eat meat? And the answer was in French, Animals don't have a soul. Thou shalt not kill. And the answer was animals don't have a soul. The Prabhupada said, where does that say that in the Bible? And that's like, the leader of the Catholic Church, one of the leaders of the Catholic Church. Not the Pope, but, right one step down from the Pope. Animals have no soul. And, so we're used to it because we live in a place not only in New Jersey, but in the world. It's crooked. Sorry to say. And what's not crooked, Dharmam hi sakshat bhagavat pranitam, that's not crooked. And you follow what Bhagavan says, and that's straight or sincere or straightforward or honest or non-duplicitous. But so that duplicity or crookedness is rooted in pride. We'll get there because that's number 5. Number 5. We'll get to number 5 from number 1. Something that furthers that crookedness is lack of faith. We can say it in reverse. The beginning is faith. But as we heard, remember, we heard this morning, the what is faith resting upon? An acknowledgement of the superiority of a supreme being. So that there's some enthusiasm and straightforwardness in dealing with that which we know, at least, inherently on the spiritual platform we know. And how do we know? Through the confirmation in Scripture. And so if you have lack of faith in doing what you know, then it's lack of faith in the Scripture. So what are some examples to illustrate this second category, following behind crookedness, is lack of faith in Scripture? And starting with his name. Here's a very nice reference from Canto 1, Chapter 1 of the Bhagavatam. If a person, this is Shaunaka, this isn't even Sutta, it's Shaunaka in the audience speaking to Sutta. If a person who has fallen into this fearful material existence helplessly chants the name of the Lord, which is feared by fear personified, he is immediately delivered by the power of the name. Now it's nice sounding, and let's see what happens when there's some difficulty. Hmm? Hmm? Where's your shelter? Really? Difficulty will tell you where your shelter is. Pinch, and you say, ouch. What is your thought when you're saying ouch? Stop pinching. Solve that problem, etc., etc. Here's a reference. This is in relation to Prahlad Maharaj, not from the Bhagavatam, but from Vishnu Purana, which also narrates the Prahlad story. It is not by my own power that the tusks of these elephants, which were as hard as the tip of a thunderbolt, got smashed. That particular detail isn't in the Bhagavatam, it's in Vishnu Purana. The tips of the tusks of the elephants that were trying to smash him, their tusks got smashed. It is only the fact of continuous remembrance of Lord Janardana which destroys all great calamities. Hang around for a while. You're going to have some calamities. Don't hang around for a while. Become invisible. You won't have calamities, but you can't stop existing. Souls don't come into existence and stop existing. Termination of misery doesn't happen by spiritual or other suicide. There's no such thing. So continue to exist until where's your shelter? This is this exclusive shelter topic from, the very first day. Endeavor with intelligence. What's the real shelter? Endeavor with intelligence in Krishna consciousness. And here's Mars Priksha. Again, this is even before the fact, not, after the tusks of the elephants were smashed. Oh, Brahmanas. This is Bhagavatam, last chapter of Canto 1. May you, as well as the goddess Ganga, know me as a surrendered soul, having fixed my mind on the Lord. Let the treachery conjured by the Brahmana consume me, or let the snake Takshaka bite me. Just go on singing the glories of Lord Vishnu. I mean, that's the contrast of faithlessness, but faithlessness, or the lack of faith, is one of the symptoms. And if one doesn't have sufficient faith, then how are you going to take shelter? You're going to take shelter of something else. That's what. And is there a limit to the list of other things to take shelter of? No limit. It's called material life. Bahushaka. Unlimited. And then Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Is that possible? And that's the target. It's certainly possible. And it takes some refinement and purification and practice. So tomorrow, every day, but tomorrow especially, 64 rounds worth. And sometimes. Sometimes you'll be more focused, sometimes less focused. And then it comes that you'll see where your faith is, where your place of shelter is. And where there's weakness in faith, then there's other shelters. They're more abundant. They proliferate. So here's the third. Now this is consequences of past offense that block, like, the light blocking the clouds blocking the sun, or mist blocking the sun. Bhagavan Nishtha Chavaka. We know the meaning Bhagavan. We know the meaning of Nishtha. And Chavaka, lack of focus on Bhagavan. If there's lack of focus on Bhagavan, there's absorption in other things. And that becomes more prominent. It's subtle. But just like what we saw the very first day, that the image of a tree and the roots were showing, because normally we don't see the roots of a tree, we just see what's above the ground. But that image was what's below. And it wasn't just like an artist's conception or an AI image. It was a tree, and the roots were exposed. So that which is inside us, that's the roots. And from the roots, the tree grows. So the behaviors outside are rooted on something that's inside. So what's the inside? It's the anticipation of finding happiness in something other than Bhagavan. It's material life in its different varieties and diversities. I want to enjoy. Fill in the blank. And that's material life. And it can change from this to that with age or association or circumstance. But it's the I want to enjoy is still there. That's the material. And the absorption of other than Bhagavan, that's the consequence of living a life that's not directed towards pleasing Krishna. And there's a lot of it. And then comes number 4. Bhakti Saitilya. Laziness. Bhaktivinoda Thakur addressed this a lot in his slackening of bhakti. It's, complacency. That's a little softer than laziness. It's the same thing as laziness. Examine yourself. Here's something that we have done. It's a nice experiment or experience. Sometime we'll do it. It's a nice practice at some point in time. You can just do it on your own. You chant and another person is listening, and do that for like 7 minutes, 10 minutes. You're chanting, someone's listening, and the someone that's listening can tell qualitatively when you're attentive and when you're out to lunch. The mouth is going, the sound is going, and your attention is elsewhere. You can hear it. Not necessarily the facial features, but you can hear it in the sound. And then reverse, same thing. Having somebody listen to your chanting will help you pay attention. But if you're just chanting on your own and no one is listening, then it's more likely you're going to be less attentive and more spaced out or more attentive to other things. And then that's this complacency. We can start tomorrow morning early, utsahan, very focused. And then comes the rest of the day. And it's a good purifier, good test for our determination. I wish you all the best. And there will be times when there's more and less, because we're not there yet. We're not at the Shuddha stage yet. But slackening in the opposite of enthusiasm, slackening or laziness, just lack of lack of effort and enthusiasm. Utsaha. Sound familiar? And then comes number 5. The Sanskrit is a little longer. Swabhaktyadi krita manitvam. Tvam means the quality of, or somethingness. Having the manitvam. Manitvam. Would sound familiar? Pride. Those of you that like reading Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 13, texts 8 through 12, chapter 13, 8 through 12, there's the list of items of knowledge. And the first 2, amanitvam adambitvam. Hey, amanitvam. There it is. The negative of amanitvam is manitvam. Pride. Humility and pridelessness. Amanitvam adambitvam. Damba is a nice word. Damba. It's like Dambodbhava was a demon. Damba. Anyway, pride in one's bhakti. And that's all 5 are resting in false ego, and false ego has this dear friend, pride. Pride, that's a nice topic, because pride, if you want to destroy something good, become proud. And the opposite, if you don't want to destroy something good, don't be proud. But it's a tendency. It's a very strong tendency. It's a false ego tendency. How are you going to get rid of false ego? Here's a teaching from Sankhya philosophy, Lord Kapila Dev's teaching, Canto 3. The first thing that comes to cover the living entity is false ego. The last thing to go, false ego. Got you covered. False ego. And then there's layers of stuff on top of the false ego. So how do you get rid of false ego? That most subtle starting point But Kapila Dev gives the answer. Shuddha Bhakti dissolves false ego. Yay! What a relief. And after false ego is gone, what's left? If you're a Buddhist, it's nothing. Nothingness. Yummy, huh? But what's somethingness? Who are we? Is this, and why is it important? We want to be happy. Without exception, everyone wants to be happy, but there's different definitions of what's happiness. And generally, it's in terms of senses and sense objects, and I get stuff, and that's happiness. Om Jai Jagadisha Hare. We want happiness. That happiness is being in a relationship of bhakti rasa with the Supreme, where there isn't obstruction. And one of the big obstructions is pride. Try it. Try your level best to do well at something in bhakti. What will happen? Oh, Prabhu, you sang kirtan so nicely. Oh, Prabhu, you prepared such a wonderful feast. Oh, you dressed the deity so nicely, and you get praise. And some persons want praise. And if they don't get praise, they feel neglected. You know that one. I'm underappreciated or unappreciated. Boo hoo. It goes on. So and then it just has to do with what's really important, and then the why question. Pride is pernicious. It destroys anything good. Anything good becomes destroyed by pride. So it's not don't do good things, but become prideless. Here's a nice example. Someone offers you, just like this young fellow here. The other day I was offering some appreciation. And immediately he said, it's all by your mercy. I mean, it's a nice thing to rubber stamp and say something. So it doesn't stick. You transfer it. Somebody has something, whatever that something. Kirtan is popular, so someone has a good singer. They have a good teacher, or Krishna has given the gift of singing to such a person, and by the association, so it doesn't stick. It goes to where it came from. That thing which is being honored, the praise goes to that source where it's deserving. Look at Prabhupada's Vyasa-san. I mean, he's way up there on a big race seat. And when he visited temples, that's the place where he sat in a seat like that. Now, how could he sit? How could a humble Vaishnava sit in a seat like that? Because it wasn't for him. It was his spiritual master, and being the bearer of the mission of his spiritual master, mission and message, he was honored. And he would say, there's nothing wonderful I've done. People say, oh, Swamiji, you've done something wonderful. I've not done something wonderful. If there's anything wonderful, it's I haven't changed anything. That's what he would say again and again. If there's something great, something wonderful, that's it. Just transparently transmitted, and I gave it as I received it from Bhaktisiddhanta, who didn't mince words. He was a transparent medium also, and I just transmitting his message and his mission, both. I didn't change anything. I don't get any credit. I'm a postal peon. My dear sir, this letter is for you. Here it is. I'm just deliverer of the message. It's in one sense, it's humility, but it's also true. What sticks? Nothing for one who is free from pride. But one who has pride, they can't, they won't, and they can't honor the personality of Godhead. They're stuck. And if they do, it's pretense. It's crooked. That's a high bar, isn't it? And we're supposed to go for it. And we have a sadhana. It's called chanting of the holy name. So that's where we're going to end this discussion. There's a restoring that unfettered, unblocked rasa, restoring rasa. And one of the ways to restore rasa is what we're going to be doing tomorrow here for that focus for chanting. And then in addition, there's sankalpa. Now, here's a little teaching I like from Jiva Goswami's Tattva Sandarbha. In Jiva Goswami's Tattva Sandarbha, he explains that originally Brahma manifested the four Vedas. And then the four Vedas became the Veda because they're divisions, but they were. So when Kali Yuga came along, the original natural divisions of the four Vedas, he divided them into four. And Jiva Goswami gives it's a really nice example, really easy to understand. The previous ages, Brahmanas are very qualified. There's a treasure chest that has all kinds of jewels. And somebody has a sankalpa. They want wealth, or they want a good wife, or they want good health, or they want fill in the blank. And there's mantras and tantras that match that want. It's a kalpa vriksha, desire tree. The Vedas is compared to it. So they knew they could reach into the jewel box and take out the necessary mantras and tantras, and off you go. Swaha, swaha, into the fire that's the tongue of Vishnu, offering to Vishnu. Even the devatas were propitiated, but Vishnu is at the center. And then swaha. So when Kali Yuga came along, the Brahmanas couldn't figure out which mantras and tantras. So he divided to make it easier for them. But it's the same. It's just the Veda. But it's important to a Brahmana would ask someone that came to the Brahmana, what's your sankalpa? What's your intention? What is it that you would like? Here's a nice little example. Janamejaya, the son of Maharaj Parikshit, when this Takshaka killed his father, he went to the Brahmanas and said, I want to destroy all the snakes in the universe. So there were mantras, and you see in the illustration, the snakes are flying through the air and falling into the fire because they knew their stuff. They knew the mantras to destroy all the snakes in the universe. And then somebody had to tap Janamejaya on the shoulder and say, hey, you can't kill all the snakes in the universe. God created the snakes. One guy did this. So that's one thing. But, all the snakes in the universe, no. Stop. So he stopped. But it was coming from his sankalpa. Misplaced, but, So what about properly placed? Here we are. And now we're going to take some time and invite all of you, each and every one, because I'm going to stop talking and you're going to start writing. What's your sankalpa for tomorrow? What's your intention? In the serious, like it's good to put it in writing. So I'm asking you to put it in writing. Get your phone out or piece of paper or whatever you want to use and put it in writing. And then you remember it tomorrow morning when you get up and you're enthusiastic because you're up bright and early in the morning. You can write it on paper. You can write it on your phone. You can write it on your forehead. You can write it however you want to write it. And if you don't have paper, get your phone. But put it in writing. You know, Prabhupada said, if you want to remember something, write it down. Yes, Vyas. It's Kali Yuga. Write it down. So then you can refer to it. You can refine it if you want, but you write it down. And while you're writing it down, here's George Harrison's Sankalpa. I really want to know you. Woo, woo, woo. I really want to see you. Woo, woo, woo. I really want to be with you. He was really clear what his Sankalpa was. And he meant it. It was him from inside. And he put it in music and very well received. So what's yours? I'm going to stop while you write. I'm going to share with you, this is my Sankalpa. I showed you this, those of you that were with us earlier, you've seen this image. This is Krishna in a boat, that fellow that's with his back to us, that's us. And Krishna's with us in the boat, in the ocean of material existence. And he's helping us to cross the ocean of material existence, saying, be present to know I am here with you. That's my Sankalpa. Be present with Krishna. It's pretty simple. And now, finally, there's a little recording of Prabhupada chanting japa. And the image shows he's at Matchless Gifts. That's 26 Second Avenue before it became the Hare Krishna ashram or center storefront. And Before 26 Second Avenue happened, there was 61 Second Avenue, which was a loft across and up the street a little bit, 61 Second Avenue. And this recording is made at that place. How do I know? Because the devotee who was present told me he's the one. You'll hear as we go forward. So what I'm going to ask you to do is remember your sankalpa, and while reciting the Maha Mantra, recite through that lens of your sankalpa. What's your intention while chanting? Because it's a preview of tomorrow. This is short. It's like 12 minutes long, and you'll hear Prabhupada say sharply, "Sit properly." And the devotee he was speaking to was Nayana Baram. Nayana Baram was the husband of Devi Shakti. Many people know Devi Shakti. You may not know Nayana Baram. Nice devotee, Prabhupada disciple. And he described, I was leaning against the Vyasasan like a sack of potatoes. So Prabhupada sharply said, "Sit properly," audibly. He stopped chanting. So one other little thing, as Prabhupada goes on, his cadence is swift. You don't have to keep up with his cadence. You have your own. So when you chant in a group, there may be a prominent voice. In this case, I'll lower the volume of Prabhupada's chanting so you can hear your own chanting, but you don't have to keep his pace. You have your pace, however long it takes you to chant one mantra or one round. That's how long it takes you. It may be different for somebody else and somebody else. Okay. So here we go. I hope it works. There's your beats.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Ram, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Ram, Ram, Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Krishna, 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 Ram, Ram. Sit properly. Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare
Okay. It's now 22 minutes after 5. What's our cutoff time? What time are we supposed to end? 6 o'clock. Oh, really? Okay. Well, let's take a few questions at least, and then we can have a break. You can continue chanting after, if you like. Any comments or questions over here? There's one hand up.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. This is my personal experience where we talk about cleansing our heart, Sarvapadi Vinurmuktam. So forget all your designations and then focus on chanting. And then we talk about a lot of tools where we can focus on chanting. My personal experience is when I focus on all this, the real focus on hearing the name, I lose the focus there.
You lose focus.
Lose focus on the hearing the name, rather focusing on the tools and techniques and what to do, what to not to do. The focus goes on to that.
You've answered your own question. Haven't you?
I don't know.
The tools is not where to go.
Right.
The hearing is where to go. guess what? That's our topic tomorrow morning.
Hmm.
You're way ahead of us.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. The way in the back. Way.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. So from yesterday's session and related to tomorrow also, one theme that is coming up for me is the patience and enthusiasm and determination. In some sense, I'm feeling like those are things I can cultivate. I can be.
Sometimes those are what?
Those are things I can cultivate.
Yeah. Practice.
But
Sadhana.
the one thing I'm kind of struggling with personally is you mentioned the 4 facets of confidence yesterday evening. And the practical exercises that you gave, does Krishna really love me?
I remember.
Yeah. So that confidence or that conviction, I'm struggling to cultivate that, Maharaj, because it seems like it comes from a sense of kind of self-worth a little bit. So I'm just wondering if you can elaborate a little bit more on how I can have that confidence that, I mean, theoretically I understand, otherwise I wouldn't even be here, that Krishna.
Yes.
But in a more practical sense, at a deeper level, I feel like that's a little bit remiss in my heart.
Well, it's a heart. That's the heart. And so Mahima, the glories, and one of the methods is to sing the glories and to hear the glories being sung. And that's one of the methods to Chaita Darpana Marjanam, to cleanse the covering so that which is inside the heart comes out, because the coverings are blocking the other stuff, the distraction stuff, the what's important to me stuff. So it's not that your dependents and your family and all of those things are zeros. Trash them. That's not the message. But align them with the one. And that's and how to the how to is clear the other stuff so that the one is. And so there's a sadhana, and you do the sadhana of chanting and singing and hearing and remembering and praising and hearing others doing the same, and that's the cleansing. Chaita Dharpana Marjanam. It's a process. And that's the process, the bhakti process, starting with hearing and chanting. Of what? Then instead of stuff, the hearing and chanting of the one. That's how. That's the how to. So sadhu sangha, and simple. And is it possible? Not only possible, it's already there. It just needs to be awakened. And so, what's the awakening process, please? Shravanam Kirtanam, Vishnu Smara, Sadhu Sangha, and continue in a qualitative, sincere. Again, this whole topic of sincerity, in contrast to crookedness. You align your behaviors, the words in your speech, with the goal. And the goal is it's not an invented goal; it's the real goal. Krishna is a loving person, and does he love little old me? Yes, proportionate to how we extend ourselves to him. He doesn't interfere, but he reciprocates. So then back to the process. The cleansing process is where your attention needs to go today and tomorrow and the next while. The sadhana takes you to the goal. With confidence, you'll reach there. However long it takes, that's how long it takes.
Thank you, Maharaj.
That's it. Anyone else? Yes.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Yeah, the Lord is not interfering, but He is not indifferent. How that goes together?
Oh, easy. I have your email address. I'll send you the answer that I gave to somebody that asked the same question. You know, a lengthy answer to the same question. But it's not indifference, and it's not prescripting. He reciprocates. He's not indifferent. He doesn't interfere. His non-interference is not due to indifference. He doesn't mess with our free will. But according to our free will, then he reciprocates. Like a loving parent, a loving father. That the child likes to play. And as long as the child isn't hurting himself or others, the father smiles and the child plays. And then at a certain stage, the father will start to give some guidance about more than playing, something a little higher. So, and then he doesn't interfere. It's just a natural affection for a dependent from the parent of that dependent. So he doesn't interfere. And if there's pushback, he doesn't push further. He's not he's neutral yet loving. And that's part of the feature of his lovingness. He reciprocates. He knows what's best, and he's encouraging, and he'll give experiences to us if we make wrong choices. You get a little tap on the wrist. And sometimes a little stronger than a tap on the wrist, depending on the severity of the misuse of free will. But he's indifferent. He's neutral, but loving. Does that help?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And I get busy sometimes, so if I get busy and forget, I don't think I'll forget. But if I get busy and forget, you send me a little reminder, and I'll send you this long-winded explanation. Yes. Okay, he's coming. Okay.
Guru Maharaj, I was very touched by the small snippet of Srila Prabhupada that you played at the end. And Srila Prabhupada said that when Bhakta is offering something, Krishna cannot refuse. Like Krishna always accepts. I think I am always in this space of doubt,
Really?
Either myself, like I'm not offering enough with, enough devotion, and doubting whether Krishna is really accepting.
Well, now you have the answer. Your experience of his accepting will differ. And his accepting is also proportionate to the love with which you make the offering. They're supposing X, Y, and Z. There's a very wealthy person, and they're thinking, I want some Krishna points. So I'll make this small. And then, no, I want more Krishna points. I'll make it a little bigger, and then I'll make it a whole bunch. But I have an expectation, Krishna points. And Krishna knows what the sacrifice means to us and what we're holding back. And the motive behind our doing even the little, or a little bit more, or a little bit more, or a whole lot. And it's not the same, the reciprocation is proportionate to the submission, not the quantum. So you're in the category of the rest of us. You're not there yet. Is Krishna accepting? Because I'm not there yet. I don't want to pick on him, but this individual yesterday that didn't go into one of the discussion groups because my chanting is so crummy. I can't even have a discussion about chanting because it's self-effacing, but it's maybe also honest, and that's okay. Does Krishna accept that person's chanting? Of course. And then there's Prabhupada's chanting, and then there's us, and somewhere in between. And Krishna accepts. He hears and he accepts. It's proportionate to. And he's all knowing, all powerful, all merciful. He's all everything. And he's in our heart, he knows anyways. Okay? So it's a little bit like the earlier question of how do I know that there's something Krishna cares, etc. So it's his nature, and I may have a very modest realization of that glory of his, but as I move down the path of offering something, purification is taking place, and as the purification takes place, then I'll start to understand the philosophy or the teaching more on an experiential level. And that's bhakti, purification. Yeah, but behind you?
Hare Krishna very much. From past 2-3 sessions, which we went very in depth with all the discussions on enthusiasm as endeavor with intelligence, or with the patience as acceptance, shelter we reviewed with various type of shelters, and also the sankalpa. Now today we have this slackening of and which led to the why.
You're doing a little review right now.
Yeah.
What's the purpose?
The question really is, we speak chanting with enthusiasm, patience, determination, and shelter. We identify many obstacles, which we discuss, like crookedness, pride, and complacency. And also we had this sankalpa. But the question really is, why chant, right? Like, what is the specific ultimate personal? Is it for fulfillment or the divine connection, or the question about the why? What should be our mood?
Well, an
asking why in each and
an honest, genuine mood. That's what your mood should be. There's no rubber stamp mood. Honest and genuine. It's a relationship. Be honest and genuine in your relationship with Krishna and his holy name. And it is what it is. And be honest with what it is. Don't be self-effacing or the opposite. That's what it should be. Genuine.
Thank you.
And that's what the purpose of a sankalpa is. It's, today. And then ideally you can modify something tomorrow, but it's going to guide me in an honest way towards what I expect, what I would like my chanting to be or become, in a reachable. So what should it be? It should be honest and moving forward in the right direction. That's intelligence. That's what it should be. Honest.
Thank you.
Okay?
Any other question?
Let me do that part. You give the microphone to him. I'll ask people for the questions. Okay. We're going to end. Isn't that nice? So, who's our MC? Do we have an MC? Are you going to be the MC again?